This is a story about my bike wreck. When kids are younger, they always want to be outside playing games like tag or riding bikes with their friends. When I was younger, I preferred to ride bicycles with my brother and his friends, which was always fun, but for a 6-year-old trying to keep up with older friends of his brother, it got a little dangerous at times. One day, we were riding bikes down this little hill next to our driveway. We had trees all over our yard, so there's limbs that had fallen in the middle of summer. So they were always turning when it got close to fallen limbs and so that, so they wouldn't wreck or anything. So when it was my turn, I tried to go down the hill and I did not miss the limb. I rolled as fast as I can. I couldn't stop, and there's a limb. I ran right into it and I went down. When I got up, my leg was hurting really bad. I was trying to pick up my bike and I didn't really focus on it. And then when I got up to where my friends were, they saw that there was a stick hanging out of my leg. And apparently it just broke off the branch and stuck in my leg. So I noticed it and I noticed the blood and I started crying. And they'd run in and get my parents and they came out and looked at it, so they hopped in the car to take me to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, I had kind of calmed down. I wasn't crying as much, but it was still really hurting, and I was kept hitting it on different things. So the doctor came out and brought a styrofoam cup, and then they brought scissors and cut notches in it to make it fit around my leg. And they taped it on my leg, and I almost completely forgot about the actual stick in my leg because I was laughing at myself for having a cup on my leg. When I finally got back into the room for them to actually try to work to get it out, I was sitting there and they wouldn't tell me what they were going to do because they knew I would freak out even more. But when they talked him into telling me what I was going to be going through. They showed me these scissors that didn't look like ordinary scissors. These scissors were shaped different and they looked extra dangerous to a 6-year-old. And when I was sitting there, I had no idea what they were about to do with these scissors because I thought they were just going to pull the stick out. At least give me some medicine so I wouldn't feel them pulling the stick out. But no, they started cutting on my leg, and that wasn't happening. So I ran out. I got away from them in the room. I fought back and forth. So then finally, they had to bring in my dad and 2 other doctors to come in and hold my arms and my other leg down, while the doctor had to hold my leg down while he cut my skin through an inch away from the stick on both sides so he could wiggle the stick out. This really did not feel good at all. It just made everything worse. But then they decided to give me a sucker to calm me down, and it wouldn't help at all. They tried to give me other candy. It wouldn't help at all. They tried to give me the toy. That wouldn't help at all. But then they brought out the actual stick. So they cleaned it up and showed me the stick. And I got to keep it. And that was the coolest thing in the world to me because it was actually inside my body. And I actually found the stick before this speech. And here it is. I have it right here. Here's the actual stick. It is darker from this side over from the blood, but they cut it off and it was actually in my leg. But the doctor said I did better than what other people have done in the general situation. He hadn't actually seen anyone actually run their bike into a branch and get a stick in their leg. But I had done pretty well for that. So that is, I went home and it healed up, and I have the scar circled. You cannot really see it very well, but it is right there. A little circle right there. That's all I could do. You can't really see it anymore, but that's it. So there's my story about my bike wreck.